I found myself staring at the clear blue skies, somewhere in the middle of a meadow. There was not a cloud in sight. From where I was lying, even the sun was not visible. I presume it was obscured by the mountains in the distance. Apart from the lack of clouds, I felt like I was in Bliss, the default computer wallpaper of Microsoft's Windows XP operating system. I realized that I've never been to a place like this before. How had I arrived to such a place? I also realized that the clothes I was wearing looked unfamiliar to me, as if someone or something had changed them while I was asleep. I was currently wearing a long-sleeved, faded round neck t-shirt that I had never seen before, and a pair of slacks that I'm not too sure was mine. I checked the inside of my pockets for any clue as to where I was. It was strange that I had no recollection of coming here. Searching in my pockets proved to be a futile effort to help me recall my memory. They were as empty as the balance in my bank account. Then I spotted an antique film camera not far from where I was. My instincts told me that someone had left it for me. If that was the case, that person should have at least wiped off the grime from the device. It was dusty, as if left abandoned for a long time, but I had a feeling that it was operational. As I was inspecting the camera, I heard a twig breaking. My instant reaction was to turn to face the source of the sound, which was a little girl playing a kite. Out of the blue, lightning struck a tree not far from us. It frightened the both of us. It shocked the little girl so much that she lost the grip of a kite, and it flew off. Before it got out of sight, I took a picture of it with the camera that I had just found. While I did so, a flock of birds invaded the frame. I tried getting another shot without the birds, rather unsuccessfully. The little girl just laughed at me as I tried. When I gave up trying, all of a sudden, I could feel a vibration in the left pocket of my slacks. It was as if something had spawned inside of it. The girl looked with me in bewilderment as my left pocket vibrated. I expected my left hand to be chopped off when I inserted it inside my pocket, but nothing of that sort happened. Instead, I found a picture of the kite that I had taken. The flock of birds looked like deformed slaves, the kite looked like a tyrannical king. I handed the photograph to the little girl so she could keep it as a memento of her lost kite. She was not at all weirded out with the picture, as if it was normal for a photographer to have pictures they had just taken to magically spawn inside their pockets. She scrutinized the picture as if it was leaked answers for a test. She was thinking of something, but I couldn't tell what it was. The girl smiled as she gave back the picture to me. I thanked her, even though I had intended for her to keep it. I stood up from where I was sitting to give it back to her, but then I realized my legs were sore, since it was an arduous task getting up. I scanned the premises to find several others lying on the grass with their eyes closed. Apparently, I was the first to wake up among them. I wanted to ask the little girl a question regarding this place, but when I turned my head to look at her, she had vanished. The disappearance of the little girl really startled me. There was no way she could have left my sight in such a short period while I had been discerning the lying people in the meadow. The picture of the kite with the flock of birds was missing too. I was sure the little girl had given it back to me, but I no longer had it. Usually, I would jokingly say to people who had lost their belongings that their stuff had evaporated or sublimed, and would later fall back to earth as rain, but I wasn't currently in the mood for jokes. Even the antique film camera I had used has miraculously metamorphosed into a brand new DSLR camera. It was then that I realized I could have been dreaming. I thought of doing a reality check, which was something I learned from the prestigious director Christopher Nolan, specifically from his sci-fi flick Inception. He had written a diverse range of movies regarding various topics, but it was the one involving dreams he directed that I had learned from the most. After watching Inception, I did extensive research regarding dreams. From my findings, the movie's deception of dreams were pretty much accurate. I didn't know that it was possible to know that you're in a dream until Inception came out. Those type of dreams where you know you're dreaming were called Lucid dreams. There were many methods to obtain a lucid dream. I called the method reality checks after reading about it in an article. It was really eye-opening. Dreams tend to be bizarre and weird, especially earlier in your sleep, when they're similar to artsy French films rather than American blockbusters with an actual plot. To the untrained eye, dreamers will just ignore these weird events and carry on with the dream, like everything's fine until they eventually wake up. Most of the dream will be forgotten, but fragments which are still intact in their memory will be reflected over. And only until then will they realize how strange the dream that they had experienced was. Ever since I discovered lucid dreaming, I always question anything peculiar in the real world. So whenever I'm in a dream, I'm sure to always spot these peculiarities and do reality checks to see whether I'm dreaming or not. One technique I usually use to know that I'm in a dream is by looking at my watch twice to know the time. If I was dreaming, then the second time I look at the watch, the hands of the clock will show the same thing. On the contrary, if I was lulled to a stupor, the hands of the clock would not be making any sense, thus making me sure that I was free to do whatever I pleased, until I got bored and decided to wake up. I wasn't able to go through this procedure, thus when I rolled up my sleeves to look at the time, I realized that I wasn't wearing the watch my father, who got from his father, gave to me. I had been mugged. Could have been it. I didn't like the notion, but I was a realistic person. I could understand my wallet and my phone not being in my pockets, for I always kept them in a brown leather shoulder bag I had. But my watch never left my wrist except when I'm taking a shower. I was considering the possibility that I had been hypnotized or something. No, that's not it. Why am I not thinking right? I was anxious to get home, to the comfort of my family. The Meadows seemed like it was endless, with so many people just lying on the ground unconscious. How far did I have to walk to leave this place? I didn't want to disturb anyone. Maybe I was dead. Could this be purgatory? I imagined the scene where Leonardo DiCaprio was waking up in the beginning of Inception and relating it with my present situation. He was washed up on the beach in the start of his story, while I'm stranded in some field in the beginning of mine, which I will continue in a later time.